Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about proactive versus reactive parenting. In this video, we're going to be talking about reactive parenting and why it is not effective, and then what parents can do to create a proactive parenting environment that really works. Reactive parenting leads to reactionships instead of relationships. Proactive parenting leads to good relationships. Now, I know that reactionship is a word that I made up, but I believe it's a real thing. There are some people that our relationship to them is all about our reactions that they have with them. And when we are constantly reacting in our parenting, then our children develop reactionships with us instead of relationships with us. And that is not what we want. Reactionships are like, if you think of magnets, if you have two magnets that have the same end and they push against each other, right? They can connect properly if they aren't pushing against each other with that same power. But when we are correcting our children in a way that's aggressive or in a way where we feel like we're stuck in a battle with them or having a power struggle with them, then that's when we start behaving with this power pushing against each other instead of working with each other as it would be if the magnet turned around and were going the other way. Then they would be in line. Things would be lined up. They would be orderly. So anyway, reactionships are people pushing against each other instead of people relating well with each other. When we are reactive in our communications, this leads to distance. It leads to people manipulating and pushing on each other, and this isn't a good thing. So how does this usually happen? I know that in my home growing up, my parents really tried to have good relationships with us. They worked really hard. My dad was really key into talking. He loved having conversations with us and getting to deeper levels of conversation with us. However, there was this point that my dad had that was like this point of no return. So once you passed by that place, the conversation at that point was going to be about pulling rank, okay? He was going to say, I'm bigger than you, I'm the boss, you have to do what I say, that's how it goes, stop talking about it. He was not going to debate for long periods of time. He would talk about something to an extent, and then it was over, and then the push would start. And the thing is I was up for a push. I was a very strong-willed child who would push against my parents. So in one way, my dad taught me that discussion was power, and then in another way, he taught me that force was power. And I wanted the power because I was strong-willed, so I started using force on him too. So we had a reactive relationship, and I realized early on in my parenting that I did not want that relationship for me and my children. I wanted to be the good side of dad, the side that hadn't been pushed too far, and I wanted to be that way all of the time. And so when my oldest son was little, I had this moment where I exploded. He was 3 years old. He had thrown a big metal Tonka dump truck against a brand new wall in our brand new home that we had built. And I got mad. In fact, I even swatted him. I spanked him on the backside. And he looked at me with this look like, what did you just do to me? You know, and suddenly like he didn't trust me and he was afraid of me. And when I saw that look, I knew that I had crossed over a line that I promised myself I was never going to cross over. I had a reaction right there. I was doing reactive parenting. It was all emotional. It was all feelings based. There wasn't a ton of logic in there. I mean, sure, he should honor me, but should I be forcing it with feelings, or should he actually want it with his heart and with his mind? Well, he needed to want it if he really was going to have a change of heart. So I decided I needed to do something different. Lucky for me, right about this same time, I started doing treatment foster care for troubled teens, and I started learning lots of different skills that really helped me in my parenting. So I'm going to talk to you about what I learned and how I changed from being a reactive parent to a proactive parent and what you can do too. But before we do, click the subscribe button now. This channel is for you. There are tons of videos on here that are about you and your relationships and being more proactive. Click subscribe now. So I didn't want to be a reactive parent anymore. I needed to have a change of heart. That's what good proactive parenting is really all about, is the parent having a change of heart, deciding to become a different person, a different version of themselves. We can all make that decision, and I picked it. I decided I'm not spanking ever again anymore. I'm not raising my voice. I'm not getting into power struggles with my 3-year-old or my 13-year-old that now I was going to have living with me because of doing the treatment foster care. Instead, I am going to know what I'm doing. I'm going to have a plan. So I decided to be more deliberate about my plans. I decided to self-govern me. So let's start our discussion here on proactive parenting with an understanding of the definition of self-government. So self-government is being able to determine the cause and effect of any given situation and possessing a knowledge of your own behaviors so that you can control them. So what that means is that you understand cause and effect in your relationships and you make plans for the greatest outcomes, for the best successes. That's what it means to have self-government for yourself. So I looked at myself and I said, I don't want to be that way anymore. That means I need a plan. I need a plan to become that version of my dad that we saw most of the time. But what was it that he was missing? Why did he cross over that line? He was missing skills. I needed skills for me. And I knew that if I also taught skills to my children, that would make a very big difference for them as well. And for their self-government journey, I wanted everyone to have the freedom that comes with the principle of self-government. Self-government is one of the founding principles of every free society so far. The Israelites in the old Bible days were a self-governing people. The Anglo-Saxons were a self-governing people. The Romans for a while were a self-governing people until things changed. And also America was a self-governing country. That's what it was founded to be. Now we could talk about whether we're really doing a good job with that right now, but I'm not going to go there. What I am going to say is that we have sold our self-government for entitlements, and we'll just leave it there. So when a person expects to get something, that's totally different than self-government. A person who's self-governed, they work, they toil, they focus, they progress, they move. When a person's entitled, they don't want to move. They just want everything given to them. So we actually could lose freedom in the United States of America, where I live, if we don't get our foundation pointed back toward the principle of self-government. So anyway, self-government is powerful and it has a ripple effect to it too. If one person starts self-governing themselves, their family, their friends, their colleagues, they start doing better at self-government too, because it's contagious. When you see one person starting to take responsibility over their own life, to decide that they get control over what they think and what they do, that nobody does something to them. Instead, they get to choose to act instead of just be acted upon. Wow, it's an empowering way of living, and it really does ripple out to other people. So when our friends and our families learn self-government because we learned self-government, our churches learn self-government, our communities, our nations, the whole world could become a self-governing place if people stopped making excuses and stopped being reactive and started being proactive and making a plan for themselves for self-government instead. There is the really quick, in a nutshell, big picture view of what self-government can do for our worlds. But the biggest thing about self-government is that it's all about having a change of heart. When a person learns self-government, they learn that they get to choose for themselves, which means they, with their heart, choose to change. That's what I did as a parent. I chose to change. I chose to adopt certain skills and principles into my way of thinking and my way of acting that would change my outcomes. For instance, I taught my children 4 basic skills, and I use those 4 basic skills myself. Those 4 basic skills are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. I also taught my children those skills. I taught myself 5 different ways to interact with my children to help correct and direct them so that I can do proper teaching with them on corrections of problems. I taught them the exact words that I would use so that I could hold myself accountable. That's called being deliberate. I chose to be deliberate. I chose to analyze myself. I chose that if I found I wasn't calm, that I would have a plan for how I would become calm again. This was all a part of my plan for proactive parenting. When a parent is proactive, their anxiety decreases and the anxiety of their children also decreases, which starts to eliminate behavioral problems before the problems even occur. So when people meet my children, and especially when they were younger, they would meet them and say, "These are the happiest children. I thought because you were on a program called The World's Strictest Parents that maybe your children would be grumpy and not connected to you, but your children are so happy and self-motivated and connected to the group." Yes, because we've deliberately decided, how do we want to connect? What do we want our relationships to be like? We've created a vision for our future. We have a plan. A proactive parent doesn't just live in the moment. They have a plan. And I say that as a person who lives in the moment. All right, so let's talk about the plan. This book here is kind of a key piece to the plan. This is Parenting a House United. I wrote this book back in 2009 after I starred in a BBC documentary, like I mentioned before, called The World's Strictest Parents. People wanted to know, how can she be so calm and so understanding, but then get such great results out of these troubled children that people keep bringing to her house? Well, that's what's in this book. I share my skills, my principles. I also have a course, which is a little bit easier way to learn the material in the book. But this book gives you a layout of how I teach things. Some of the key things that I talk about in that book and in my course and my 3-day training is I talk about how to communicate during the most difficult circumstances, how to help somebody get calm when they don't want to be calm, how to stay calm when someone's going out of control, how to have effective meetings together as a family, as couples, individually with the children, how to help people with addictions, how to help children with a lot of modern problems they're facing, like technology and sexual things that are bombarding them. How to change your own mindset and be a self-governed parent so that you can be ready no matter what happens. How to praise your children more effectively, pre-teach them, correct them, help them in intensive moments, how to help them socially. There's a lot of information in that training that I give. So hopefully you'll be able to find more of that for yourself. In fact, if you're interested in that, I highly recommend that the next video you watch is a video called The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success. It's a full-length class. It'll be about an hour long here on this channel, and it will give you a lot of those nuts and bolts to self-government that you might find useful. Now, it's not the full course, okay? But it's going to help you start, and you'll be able to see some of the things that you can learn as you start getting into self-government that can improve your outlook, your tone, your structure as a parent, and increase the predictability and self-government for the whole family. Click on the link to The Not So Known Secret for Parenting Success now. I'll see you there.